guys, you're listening to Andreas Talks Art.
Alright guys, here are the top reasons I think people succeed as artists. So coming at you first, I think people with the compulsion to create are very likely to succeed as artists. It's this compassion you develop after creating for a while where it's not something you just want to do, but it's something you feel like you have to do. And once this happens to you, there's really no stopping how good you're going to get, because you have this constant compulsion to keep creating, to keep working and keep making new things. And it's through this desire to never stop creating where greatness happens, right? The more you work at it, the better you're going to get. So if you're able to develop this compulsion to create, and it's a tricky balance, like with everything, it can't overcome you or else you'll burn out and stop liking what you're doing. But if you have this desire to always be creating, you're never going to stop. So you're just going to keep working until you get to where you want to get, right? So I think that's a big part of being successful as an artist. Another thing, and it ties perfectly in line with this, is commitment and discipline. And I think through this, it's a good way to build that compulsion to create. And as with anything, if you want to make it your full-time career, your full-time job, you have to be disciplined. You have to be committed. You have to work when you don't always want to work. You're not always going to feel motivated. You're not always going to feel super passionate and this strong desire to create. So you have to create your own discipline. So even when you get to those times where you're not as inspired, you're not as motivated, you still get to the studio and you still work, because if it's something you want to build into your career, it's going to take a lot of work. And the best way to do that is through developing a discipline, making it something that you do no matter what, making a rule for yourself where whether you take out a part of the day, a part of the week, a part of the month, and you're like, this time is going to be my time to work on my art. That's your discipline, And I think that's a crucial part of being successful as an artist. Not only if you just want to make a career, but also just to improve your art. You have to have this discipline to really get good at something. And that takes commitment. And that brings us on to the next thing I think makes people succeed as an artist is the ability to promote your work. Now, this directly ties into trying to turn your art into a career, a job, trying to make money out of it. And, you can get really good at making art, but just because you're a good artist doesn't mean you're going to have a successful business. And the big thing that I think separates successful and non-successful artists is being able to promote their work, being able to build an audience, right? And this is something that, it doesn't come natural to a lot of artists. So I think it's an important thing to focus on if you're really trying to make money off of your art. You have to figure out how to get your work out to the world, because if you make the best art and no one sees it, no one's going to be able to buy it. So along with making really good art, you have to be able to show the world your really good art. The second thing that I think makes people, what am I talking about? I'm on the fourth. The fourth thing I think makes people successful as an artist is evolution, changing. I think a lot of people get stuck in a certain period, a certain style, a certain medium, and it's great to really develop and hone in on a certain skill, but over time it leads to stagnation. You're not moving, you're not changing. Change is crucial, I think, to developing as an artist, because art isn't like a lot of other subjects like math or science where there's a definitive answer. It's all subjective, and if you're stuck doing the same thing over and over again, you're only putting out one result, and you're only going to get back the same subjective answer. So the more you put out, the more you're going to understand about your work and how it interacts with people and how people interact with it. So I think change and evolution of you, your style, your being, everything about you and your art is crucial to succeeding at art. The next thing that I think is a big part of becoming a successful artist is your support system. And like with anything else, you can't really do this all alone. It's a huge undertaking to try and become a self-sustaining artist, right? Everyone always goes back to that saying, the starving artist. It's like this well-known thing that it's very hard to make it as an artist. And if you don't have any type of support system, whether that's your friends, your family, even people online on Instagram or YouTube, people who are truly backing and supporting what you do, it's going to be hard to keep going, to keep your commitment and discipline, because you need someone out there to show you you're not alone. I think that's really what it comes down to just give you that support that makes you feel like you're in a community. And the bigger you can build up your community, the more support you'll have, and the better you'll do as an artist. The next thing I think that allows people to succeed at art is taking risks. And just trying to become an artist is risky itself. So, it kind of just goes to show you that the whole building blocks of being an artist is taking risks. Not just within, shouldn't just be taking risks within becoming an artist, right? But within each piece you do, you should be trying to push yourself, try new and different things. Because I think that's what draws people to art, is this uniqueness. It's something they've never seen before, something they didn't imagine, and the shock value, being able to blow someone away and also confuse them, not being able to create something where they're not sure how it was made. And this all comes from taking risks and pushing yourself. Everyone's in their own box. And what your goal is to try and step outside your box, 1 foot at a time. Just keep pushing that boundary, bigger and bigger. And the bigger it gets, the more successful you'll be. So keep taking risks, and your art will keep growing. And along with that, you have to not be afraid to make mistakes. And I think this is something that holds a lot of people back. And it ties into this idea of perfectionism. And a lot of artists connect with this because, once you start making a work, it becomes more than just this work you're creating. You get tied into it because you're putting your energy, your emotion into it, and it becomes a part of you. And within that, it's your creation, and you want to keep curating it until it becomes this perfect idea in your head. And the thing about that is it's almost impossible to reach perfection. And that's where so much of the beauty I find in art is. It lies within the imperfection. That's what makes it cool, is it's not this perfect thing that a robot could have done, a computer could have done. It's something that human hands made and a human mind imagined, and it's never perfect. So I think a big part of really succeeding is to drop this idea of perfection and don't be afraid of mistakes, allow yourself to make mistakes, and of course learn from them, and don't keep making the same mistake over and over, but don't be afraid to make a mistake. Realize that every mistake you make is a lesson you can learn, and it's whether you decide to learn from the lesson or not, whether it brings you value. But if you never allow yourself to make mistakes, you'll never be able to learn from them. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, and keep pushing forward when you do. Don't let them hold you back. The last thing I think people succeed at art with is not being afraid of others' thoughts. And, with social media, this has become more prevalent, with putting your stuff out there and having a lot more people see and interact with your work. And at the end of the day, it's your work, and everyone's going to have a different opinion on it. So to allow any negative ideas or comments on your work to set you back, it's not going to allow you to grow. You have to take the comments with strides, and maybe there's something you can learn from it, but it's not everyone's doing what you're doing. Most people aren't doing what you're doing. So it's something you can't really take criticism from everyone from, because they're not in the same headspace. They're not thinking about things the way you are. And really, at the end of the day, it's your work. And if it doesn't interact with everyone, it's never going to interact with everyone the way you want it to. So it's just a very impossible belief, a very impossible standard you're holding yourself to if you're trying to make everyone happy. It's never going to happen, so just forget it. And just at the end of the day, make yourself happy and keep on creating art. Thanks for watching. This was another Andreas Talks Art. Catch you guys later. Peace.
Thanks for listening. Share this with your friends if you liked it. And don't forget to be cool. Peace out.